Hey, what's up, fight fans? Will back for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC on Fox 25 from Uniondale in Long Island as Chris Weidman faces off against Kelvin Gastelum in the main event there. We're pretty good looking fight card in all honesty. First of all, I just want to apologise, it's Wednesday. I usually have these out really early, but last week I was at the Glasgow card. Was given a free weekend, off daddy duties. So as soon as I got home on Monday, I had to really take over and rightly so, look after my little girl for a little bit, so I've just struggled to find the time to put this out. So I'm going to get this one out. I'm probably going to get my UFC 214 picks. I've did quite a bit of my tape for that. I'm going to do a little bit more tonight. I might actually get it out tonight. If I've got time and the little one is asleep through it, I will most definitely try and get it out for tonight, if not tomorrow night, which is a great card. Coming off Glasgow card, which was an absolute privilege to be there. Unbelievable atmosphere. Didn't go well for the Scots whatsoever. I thought the Jojo fight could have went either way. Looks like that the takedowns really won the fight for her there. But overall, it was just a great card. Great to see Danny Henry prove me wrong. Go out there, get a big bonus, fight of the night bonus as well. Great card. A little bit disappointing for Gunny. I'm not going to mention eye pokes because it really doesn't matter. That doesn't stop the punches from coming. He should have stopped and got the ref to say look, he was seeing double vision or whatever it was. Fair play to Ponzinibbio, great victory, really nice guy. Had the opportunity of meeting him for a few minutes and really solid guy. Moving on to this one here, I think it's a really fun card. There's a lot of really fun matchups and we're going to get into it very quickly. Just a big thank you to everybody for the continued support of my podcast, or predictions video I should say. Keep your ear to the ground. There might be some new developments coming in the very near future for a podcast with a friend out there. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. We're putting stuff in the works right now, and it looks like something will come together very shortly. So hopefully you guys can come over there. We're going to be talking about everything MMA, and you can throw in your questions to us and we'll answer them as much as you can, and you can come and join us on some of the broadcasts as well, depending if we're doing them live or whatsoever. Just come and support us if you can, and let's just try and get more fans together to talk about this great sport that we all love. So keep your ear to the ground. I'll let you know more on that once it comes to it, but let's get on to the fight card. Lightweight division, a rematch from a few years ago from the Ring of Combat promotion. Chris Weid against Frankie Perez. On that occasion, Chris Weid won that fight via a very close split decision to defend his Ring of Combat belt, and I don't see very much different how this fight's going to be any different from that fight a few years back, 3-4 years ago. I think that Chris Weid can use his superior grappling, and I think what it is that Frankie Perez can be taken down by guys like Mark Diakese. Isn't predominantly known as a wrestler per se, and got taken down there through kicks. Really wasn't listening to his corner. They said don't throw kicks. He threw a kick. Diakese caught it, took him down. Chris Weid is a strong guy, coming off losses to Hustam Habilov, Islam Makhachev, both guys who are probably just a superior grappler to this guy. But I think Chris Weid is the far superior grappler to Frankie Perez. It might be a little bit close on the feet between these two, but I think that Chris Weid will use that wrestling, will use that grappling, and will get takedowns and will win a fairly dominant decision. So I am going to go, I think he's going to do it for every round, so I'm going to go 30-27 victory there for Chris Weid. Featherweight division, Shane Burgos against Godofredo. This is a great fight. I'm a little bit surprised this is buried on the Fight Pass portion of this card, because I think this could be in the Fox preliminary card there when I see some of the other fights. Shane Burgos has looked like a straight killer in these two UFC fights. He's a guy who puts his combinations together extremely well, has a lot of power, and he's beat a couple of decent guys. I mean, Trattora and Rosa both had fights in the UFC before, and he beat Trattora via a very dominant decision. Could have got the finish there. Then Charles Rosa, who not your best fight you're ever going to see, but he's tough and he sticks around. He got that finish there back at UFC 210. He just puts his strikes together very well. All around a great fighter, fighting out at Tiger Schulman's gym there. There's a real group of guys coming in at the same time, all trained together on this card. So, and he's got a really favourable matchup here, I think, in Godofredo Pepe. Pepe is a great fighter to watch. don't get me wrong, but there is so many openings with this guy in every aspect. He goes balls to the walls, but he is very dangerous. He can latch on a submission like he did with Andre Fili, and he's if this was in Brazil, I think it would be a lot closer. Personally, I think that Pepe is he's one of those home fighters that you would not like to go down there and fight anytime whatsoever. But the last time he did come over this show, as he faced Darren Elkins and grounded out in that one, I just think the aggressiveness of Pepe is going to play right into Shane Burgos here. He's going to use that big power that he has, and probably hit Pepe with leg kicks. Just has to be careful he doesn't get caught in a compromising position where Pepe can jump on a submission or just do something crazy like Godofredo Pepe does. I like Shane Burgos in this one. I think that Pepe is going to be far too aggressive and come into a big shot, and Burgos will put him down where he stands. This is weird for me because when I put out my fight card predictions, there's never usually odds. So I see that Burgos is a pretty heavy favourite at minus 300 or 320, I think it was. And I think this is another solid matchup in his progression in the UFC. I mean, he's only been in the UFC for 7-8 months. This is going to be his third fight in that period. And this would be a nice addition to have on your card if you can beat Godofredo Pepe, and I think he can here. I just think the aggressiveness of Pepe will play into Burgos' hands, and if it stays on the feet, I only see one winner, because Burgos plants those feet, throws his shots off well. It's just all around, I think, the better striker. On the ground, I know he's a black belt as Burgos. I think that Pepe is just so unpredictable. That's kind of the only thing that we're going on here. He has to use that unpredictability to try and win this match. I don't see it. I like Shane Burgos here. I think he can stop Godofredo Pepe. I think he hits him in the first, he finishes him in the second. So a second round TKO victory there for Shane Burgos. Heavyweight division, we have Timothy Johnson against Junior Albini. When I watched the tape on Junior Albini, I watched some before I went to Glasgow last week actually, and then I refreshed my memory this morning, and nothing really impresses me with this guy. I think that Timothy Johnson's getting a fairly decent fight on his record, considering he is a top 15 heavyweight. Now I know top 15 it's not a big thing because heavyweight is one of the weaker divisions in the whole UFC, but to be getting a newcomer in Albini there who doesn't really strike me as a too dangerous guy. On the feet he does, that's predominantly where he want to keep this fight, is on the feet. I see Tim Johnson just using those big shots to push him against the cage and get takedowns from there, and I think he can probably do that all the time. Once he gets him down there, I don't see Albini position himself to get back to his feet. I think that he lays there and just tries to defend from the bottom. Hopefully the ref stands him up. I like Timothy Johnson this one. I think the first round he will dominate on the ground, he will get shots off, and then I think into round number 2 I think he can really establish that ground game, take him down and use big shots to stop this fight. So Timothy Johnson via second round TKO via ground and pound is going to be my decision, my pick for that fight there. Brian Kelleher faces Marvin Chito Vera in the next fight here. Brian Kelleher, I knew about this. I watch a lot of fights, guys, of people that are not in the UFC. It's one of my favourite things to do. That's why one of the best things at the minute is the Dana White Contender Series, because there's fighters that I know from the outside that have come into the UFC or been given the opportunity to get into the UFC. Like last night, Shane O'Malley was a great fight and awesome to see. Brian Kelleher's a guy that was on my radar. I'm a big fan of the Ring of Combat promotion. The amount of fighters that come into the UFC through that facility is like huge. And Kelleher, I just didn't think he was a guy that was going to beat Yuri Alcantara. Get in there, wasn't much between them, and then he caught him in a submission. And Alcantara, I thought it looked a little bit weird stuff. I thought he tapped really quick, but maybe this guy just has a very tight squeeze. And went down to Brazil, beat Yuri Alcantara, and got the win down there. Chito Vera, I picked him against Brad Pickett, but it was pretty clear to everybody with a couple of eyes that he was losing that fight in London until he pulled out a sort of a knockout in the third round. I like Marlon Vera a lot, but I don't like him in this matchup. I think this is I'm a little bit back and forward in this one. Vera is, if you're going to take the shot then on Vera, then fair enough, but I just don't see this being a good matchup for him. I think that Kelleher has got all that momentum on his side. One thing I do like with Marlon Vera, in all honesty, is he's with a settled fight camp now. He's over there at Team Oyama out of California, and I think that is really going to help him having a stable, steady team behind him moving forward. But I like Brian Kelleher in this one. I think on the feet it's Vera's definitely going to have the advantage there, but I think once the fight goes on longer, Kelleher might start to use takedowns and look for, I think on the ground he will be the superior grappler down on there. So I'm going to pick Brian Kelleher. I think he could maybe get a submission, so I'm going to go an early third round submission for Brian Kelleher in that one there, but it's a close fight. Kyle Bochniak's against Jeremy Kennedy next. I love Jeremy Kennedy in this spot. I think that what really impressed me with him going down to Brazil facing Honey Jason, who's a very dangerous guy down in Brazil, took the guy down 8-9 times and just advanced positions, did get caught, which is something that he has to be careful with. He was sloppy, he left his chin in the air, and Honey Jason, like he can with a lot of people, caught him and nearly had the opportunity to put him away there, but Jeremy Kennedy knew, right, I got hurt there, take this to the ground and just try and grind him from there, and did that, rinse, repeat takedowns. Actually was very impressed with that performance going down there from a guy, I think it was his second fight in the UFC. And Kyle Bochniak, all around, not the best guy you'll ever see in the UFC. I think he's fairly technical on the feet, fighting out of Boston. I think it's Mark Delagrotti that's usually in his corner, so you're always going to have decent striking with that guy behind you. I just don't think he's overall a very good pro. I think that he's got a couple of gimmies. I mean, that Barzola fight, even though I picked Bochniak to win that one, I don't think he won that fight in all honesty. And before that he lost to Charles Rose in a very, very entertaining encounter there. But he was supposed to face Pepe. I think both fighters actually had injuries in that one, and I would have picked heavy on Godofredo Pepe in that one. I think that Kennedy's just going to rinse, repeat takedowns. I think that Bochniak is tough to put away, but I don't see Kennedy putting him away. I just see rinse and repeat takedowns for the victory there from Jeremy Kennedy. Moving on to the preliminary card in Fox, we have Damian Grabowski against Chase Sherman in the heavyweight division. Now, this sucks even saying this, but I'm really, one of my most confident picks on this card is Chase Sherman, and that's pretty scary to say because Sherman, in all honesty, I don't think he's a great heavyweight. I don't think he's got a great chin. I think his striking's decent. Like the fact that he comes from a great camp in Jackson Winklejohns, but I think he's just a low level heavyweight. He's coming in here on short notice after that epic fight with Rashad Coulter at UFC 211, where he got himself a nice bonus, I believe. And Rashad Coulter, not great, but I think Damian Grabowski is right up there with the worst fighters we have in the UFC. That guy got his life changed at UFC 201 by Anthony Hamilton. And Chase Sherman's not a whole lot of things, but he's a guy that can pop hard and he can put you down. I think that Grabowski here is just going to get absolutely taken out. One thing I like with Chase Sherman as well, heavy leg kicks. He sets him up well before throwing the 1-2 on the feet. It was a weird thing, the DraftKings prices were out before the actual odds were, which were weird. And I like Chase Sherman quite a lot to get at least a finish, if not round number 1, then round number 2. Damian Grabowski is straight garbage, put it that way. Chase Sherman, TKO, either 1 or 2. I'm going to go round number 2. I think the accumulation of strikes due to leg kicks and just heavy strikes in the feet will put him down. So second round TKO there for Chase Sherman. Interesting fight, Ryan LaFlare against Alex Cowboy Oliveira. This is, I think, a really tough fight. I think the odds are a little bit off. I think over here in the UK it's like a plus 190 for Alex Oliveira. I think that's a little bit high because on his day, when he turns up, he's a really tough guy to face, like he showed in that Tim Means fight. I think Means did go in there with an injury, in all honesty, but Alex Oliveira still handled him fairly easily. The one thing that I don't like in this, that I don't think he's going to be able to manhandle someone like Ryan LaFlare, D1 wrestler, very strong in the clinch, has very good grappling himself, and that's where I think Cowboy tries to win majority of his fights. But it's tough picking Ryan LaFlare because I don't think he looked all that good against was it Ducao Carneiro, his last fight. I don't think he looked all that impressive in that fight. Ducao, and then Mike Pierce, I don't think he looked overly. I mean, he's got good wins on his record. Like John Howard's a fairly decent win. He beat Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's a good fight. Saying that was back very early in his career, in Ponzinibbio's UFC career. Court McGee's always a tough guy. When it gets tough like this, it kind of plays into his favour. Put it this way, I really want to pick Alex Oliveira, but I just don't think he can out-grapple Ryan LaFlare. I really want to pick the dog here. I'm going to go with Ryan LaFlare. Just think his physicality kind of lasts longer. I think he will take down Alex Oliveira, and just it's a tough fight to call that. I really like to take the shot in the dog. I might actually go ahead and take a bet on Alex Oliveira if the number gets high into maybe into the 200s. I think because I think that odds is pretty much off. You know what? I think. Yeah, I've made my mind up. I'm going to go Ryan LaFlare. I was going to kind of change last minute there and go Alex Oliveira. That was my pick from the get-go, but I have changed over the last day or two, since Monday probably, for Ryan LaFlare with his... I just think he's going to out-grapple him, not by much. 29-28 decision there for Ryan LaFlare. Middleweight division with Rafael Natal against Eryk Anders. Really looking forward to seeing Eryk Anders. I mean, he fought only 4 weeks ago on the LFA card and defended his belt, I believe. And really... good addition to the middleweight division, coming in here on short notice. Wins over Brandon Allen, John Kirk, Brian White, Bellator, and then LFA as well. But he's a guy that used to play football out of is it Oklahoma, I think it was, or Louisiana. Let me see. That doesn't really say. Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. I thought it was Oklahoma. But a former college football player, so you know he's got half decent kind of grappling. It's alright with that, but he's predominantly a striker. He won't want to grapple in this fight here. He will want to keep it standing against Rafael Natal, and I think he's got an opportunity to win this fight. I really do. Rafael Natal, I think, is a guy that's... I think he's going to start going downhill now. Now, he's always been a tough, solid guy in that division, but I think that the time is now where you can maybe get this guy and get at his chin a little bit. He was knocked out by Tim Boetsch pretty viciously at UFC 205. Like that he's taken 9 months off to really get readjusted again. Lost to Robert Whittaker, which is the guy's the interim champ now. Before that, he put a 4-fight win streak together. Where this guy's want to put this fight, he wants to put in the ground and use his probably superior jiu-jitsu skills. I think Eryk Anders is actually going to catch this guy and put him to sleep. So I'm going to go Eryk Anders via a knockout. I'm going to go a first round knockout for the newcomer here. Now, it's a big shout, I think, coming in here on short notice, facing a grizzled vet like Rafael Natal, but I think that Anders can get it done. I do think the chin is starting to deteriorate bit by bit for Rafael Natal, so Eryk Anders is going to be the pick there for me. I just feel more confident picking him here. He could gas out late on in the fight, coming in here on very short notice, but he is in fight shape. He was in fight shape. He fought literally 3 weeks ago, so the pick's going to be Eryk Anders there for the victory. Moving on, we have Lyman Good against Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, and this is a fight I was actually watching last week, and then I watched Monday when I come back home when the little one was sleeping, and just watched his fights with that. My dog was, I think it was fight of the night. Lost to Nicholas Dalby, which I think he probably should have won in all honesty. And then a nice win over Keita Nakamura, who's a very, very gristle veteran. It's an awkward guy to fight as well, and got a nice decision there in the Lineker Dodson card. Overall, a very, very good striker, dangerous, has submission skills as well. He showed that in his jungle fight run, but most of his wins were via knockout. His win over Itamar Rosa and Rodrigo Souza, Josenildo Ramirez as well. So really solid striking skills. And I mean, Lyman Good's coming back here. He was popped by USADA. He was on the juice. He looked absolutely jacked off his tits. You can just tell he was on the juice. There was something with him, like, so he just looked yoked. And I mean, we haven't seen him in literally 2 years. His last win was Andrew Craig via knockout in the second round on that Mir Duffy card. after UFC 189, literally the Wednesday night I think that was, and we haven't seen him since. Fighting out in New York, fighting at home. I like Elizeu dos Santos in this one here. I think that it'll be interesting to see what Lyman Good looks like, see if he looks kind of deflated a little. From the pictures I've seen, he doesn't. He looks in pretty good shape. But I think dos Santos is very dangerous. I saw the line actually last night. He's like plus 170, plus 180. That to me is crazy. I think this fight's a lot closer than that. But originally I was going to go with dos Santos. It was the pick I liked in that one. And I'm going to stick with that pick. I think he can finish him early in round number 3. So Zaleski dos Santos is going to be my pick there for your third round TKO victory there. Moving on to the main card. This is kind of baffles me a little bit. This fight, when you look at it, it just shines out, and it should be the co-main event at least. I think this fight could, if they went to Brazil, this would be a main event down there. Possibly even one in the US as well. Jimmy Rivera faces off against Thomas Almeida. This is a great fight. And I think I'm going to be going against a lot of people here. A lot of people seem to be on Jimmy Rivera. I like Thomas Almeida a little bit more. I can see why they like Jimmy Rivera. Very good starter to fights. Really strong throughout the fights. Overall, a fantastic game. Great leg kicks. Has the wrestling. Has very fast hands. I was at his UFC debut in Glasgow 2 years ago, and from then he's just went on leaps and bounds, and he's beat some really tough guys. I mean, Faber, he went out there and pieced Faber up pretty bad. Now, Faber, he was on the downturn of his career, but he still went out there and dominated. Yuri Alcantara's never an easy guy to face. Beat him. Pedro Munoz, although getting hit in that one and wobbled a little bit, he went down to Brazil, won a very close decision. Things like that stand out to me as being a fighter that's ready to go into enemy territory and do things and win fights down there. And overall, just a fantastic fighter. He did get knocked out back in the day by Dennis Bermudez, I think in the Ultimate Fighter, I believe it was. So the chin can be tested. He has been tested by Pedro Munoz to get hit with a clean shot there and wobbled a little bit. But he does start very fast. On the other hand, Thomas Almeida can be a slow starter, as we've seen. I mean, Cody Garbrandt came out and got him very quick. Brad Pickett came out very quick and got him. And that's something where Jimmy, I think, has to really focus on in this fight, because if Thomas Almeida starts like that in this fight, he could potentially wake up looking at the lights. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think that he's going to come out. I think he realises this is a big fight in this division, and he can't afford, really, in that division. There's so many top fighters coming in. There's top fighters outside the top 15 that are ready to come in and start taking people's position. Like Boston, like guys that are even on this contender show. People like Boston Sam and Sean O'Malley. I think these are guys that are going to eventually, they will be in the top 15 and they're going to start taking places within the next 18 to 24 months. So you have to keep winning in that division, and it is a killer's division, 135. It's one, I think it actually is my favourite division out there, with the athleticism, with the fighters, with the potential matchups that they could have. Thomas Almeida, all violence, just a violent motherfucker. He is he's one of my favourite fighters to watch by an absolute mile. We've seen him in his UFC debut against Tim Gorman. He got taken down in that one, which is something that you should maybe keep an eye on. Rivera could potentially do that. But once this guy catches his groove and gets in to that way of, like, he's just in his groove. Yves Jobin, he absolutely destroyed when he's back against the cage. Brad Pickett, although he did get put down and hurt in that fight, he got back up and threw the most vicious flying knee you'll ever hear in your life. Anthony Bochniak, that just putting him up against the cage and unloading, hitting him with that shot was incredible. Then he come back after that Cody Garbrandt loss and just kind of pieced up Albert Morales after a pretty slow first round. In all honesty, I think he probably actually lost that first round, if I'm being honest. In Brazil, probably not. But if I'm going to pick Thomas Almeida, I have to pick him via knockout, because I don't see him winning the long game in here against Jimmy Rivera. I just think he can catch him with a shot, put him on the back foot and hit him, take him out. I think I'm going to be one of the kind of few that's probably going to be picking against Jimmy Rivera here. I love Jimmy Rivera as a fighter. I love Thomas Almeida as a fighter. I just think that Almeida could catch him in this one here. So I'm going to have to pick. I'm going to go an early second round TKO victory there for Thomas Almeida. I think it gets in there. They start swinging a little bit. If Jimmy Rivera fights smart, I think he wins the fight. If they get into a little bit of a firefight, I think that Almeida can catch him. That's kind of where I'm going with this one. I think it gets into a little bit of a firefight. This could be potentially be fight of the night. I'm going to pick Thomas Almeida. I'm going to pick him via TKO victory in round number 2. I probably will bet him. I think that if I'm going to say, my betting has been absolutely shocking to say the least. After a great start to the year, I've just kind of dwindled it all away. But I think I'm going to probably end up betting Thomas Almeida. We'll wait and see. But my pick is going to be Almeida round 2 TKO victory there. Light heavyweight division with Patrick Cummins against Gian Villante. Two of the probably the worst guy. Well, I shouldn't really say that because 205's got a lot of bad guys. Pat Cummins, the guy takes so much damage, it's crazy. Hopefully soon enough this guy kind of steps away, because the more fights this guy has, I think the less brain cells he's definitely going to have. What he does have in his pocket is he does have really good wrestling, takedowns, and yeah, I think that's what he has to do here. Gian Villante's coming off that loss to Shogun Rua where he down. He just kind of fought stupidly, and yeah, I think this is just a scrub fest. It's not just not a great fight. I saw that both priced, I think 8,100 on DraftKings. I think you have to maybe target one of these guys. Over the 3 rounds, I think that Villante can find the chin. I can see him, Cummins, potentially getting takedowns, but then Villante getting back to his feet and then catching him with a big strike. But really, it's a fight I'm not confident in picking the winner too much. I'm not going to get into it too much because I think that both guys are not potentially great fighters. But I think if Villante has power and he can catch Patrick Cummins, we've seen Cummins just been put to sleep on so many occasions now. So I'm going to pick Gian Villante via TKO in round number 1. I say it's going to be my least confident picks. It's just something I'm not confident about. Moving on to the co-main event, we have Dennis the Menace Bermudez against Darren the Damage Elkins. Bermudez is in a weird place now. I mean, Chan Sung Jung came back after a long break and beat this guy, and yeah, just a little bit kind of weirded out with this one. Because Darren Elkins, I mean, what can you say? That guy, Mirsad Bektic, was getting his ass beat two rounds, and let's be honest, Mirsad Bektic completely gassed. And the thing you don't do against Darren Elkins is you don't gas, because the guy goes hard for 15 minutes. He believes in himself. He's got a will to win, even though it's ugly looking fighting that he does to do that, to win those fights. But he went out there and got a finish. His face was marked up like shit. I think he was cut under both eyes. So, you know, just unbelievable kind of comeback from Darren Elkins. We know what he's like. He's a grinder. He wants to put against the cage, use takedowns. Could potentially do that in this fight here. I like Dennis Bermudez, but I'm very, very wary because his last 2 wins are over Honey Jason and Tatsuya Kawajiri. Both guys that are not overly great, and Elkins is tough, very, very tough. So I'm gonna go with the Dennis Bermudez pick. I actually think he can maybe submit this guy. I think that if they get into a scramble or something, he can maybe catch a submission and put him to sleep there. So I'm kind of going out on a little bit of a limb in this one here. If it's not, I think it's going to be a pretty close, maybe 29-28 decision. I can see definitely Bermudez winning a round, Elkins winning a round, and Bermudez just winning 2 close ones. I'm going to go an early 3rd round submission for Dennis the Menace Bermudez. In fact, you know, it's going to have to be earlier than that because I can probably see Elkins coming on strong. 2nd round submission for Dennis the Menace Bermudez. But if not, I think it's a very close decision. It could go either way, but my pick's going to be Dennis Bermudez there. And the main event of the night, we have Chris Weidman against Kelvin Gastelum. Excuse me. I already have a bet down in this fight. I have a 2-man parlay for one on this card and moving on to 214 next week. Chris Weidman, I think this guy, it's hard to say. I don't think he should be fighting. I think he should have took a longer break than what he has. He's coming in here very, very quick after taking knees to the head and really getting hurt in that fight against Gegard Mousasi. I thought he actually looked pretty good in that fight with Mousasi, in all honesty. He took him down. I thought Mousasi was just doing enough to win the fight, but I thought Weidman was looking fairly decent again. And Mousasi is a top guy in that division, or was a top guy before going to Bellator. In the Romero fight, I mean, he was taking down Yoel Romero, who is one of the best wrestlers in the entire sport that we've ever had in the sport. So before getting caught in the third round, and that's where I think this fight could be. I think I can see Weidman coming out really quick. By the way, the line in this is shocking as well. He's plus 180. It should be a lot closer than that, but still, I can see him coming out using wrestling early on, potentially getting a takedown or two. Have to remember that Kelvin Gastelum does have, on the tough show, he used his wrestling to his advantage on that show. I think he has it there. I think he's looking great under Rafael Cordero. The way I see this is Chris Weidman coming out very, very quick, getting a few takedowns, but then wearing out, and then I think Kelvin Gastelum is really going to start picking this guy apart, like he did with Vitor Belfort. Really good hand speed, very, very crisp combinations. I think that Weidman is there to be put to sleep, and I think that Kelvin Gastelum can do that. So my pick's going to be Kelvin Gastelum. I think I'm going to pick him via TKO early round number 4. I just see Weidman gassing. And now, he is fighting at home, he is fighting in Long Island. There's a reason he's the main event here, is because he's a local boy. I just don't like this matchup. I mean, Gastelum, I know he's had his weight problems. He probably is a natural 170er, but I like these guys that fight at weight classes where they're not killing themselves to make weight. I think it's... Last week I seen a guy cut weight, and it was on the Friday because the weigh-ins were on the Saturday, and he looked terrible. Now, he made the weight, and he actually won the fight. I'm not going to mention who it was. Some people know because I have spoken to some people about it, but he looked terrible, and you know, it was the most brutal thing in the world to see this guy like having to literally kill himself to make this weight. Now, I know he's at his own contractor. He picked that fight at that division. Fair enough. And he won the fight, so I can't say anything more than that. But to see the guy just like kneeling over a seat, a table, just in pain at this weight cut, and this was, he still had 4 pounds to cut, and how he managed to do it is beyond me. The guy's superhuman. I like guys that fight at the weight class above. I just think it's more healthier for your brain. I mean, Weidman's taking some shots to the chrome. He's going to have Gastelum's going to have a lot more water in that brain, not cutting so much weight. Weidman, I just don't think looks good when he on the scales at the weigh-ins. I like Kelvin Gastelum. I think he's going to TKO Chris Weidman in the 4th round there. So that's my pick. If you guys want to go with Chris Weidman, I think that's not a bad underdog bet, personally, because he is in his hometown. He has aspects to win this fight. I just think that Gastelum is in his pomp at the minute, and he's a really tough guy to be facing in the middleweight division. He's a guy that you need to keep an eye on. I think he will zoom up those rankings very, very quickly. So the pick's Kelvin Gastelum, round 4 TKO victory there. So that's my picks for UFC and Fox 25. I will be back maybe tonight, if not tomorrow, for my UFC 214 picks. Daniel Cormier versus John Jones, Tyron Woodley against Damian Maia, Cyborg against Tonya Evinger. 3 title fights on there. Lawler, Cerrone, just really... Moicano's on there as well. Really fun fight. So looking forward to breaking that one down with you. Thank you all for the support. And just keep on liking the video, and keep your ear to the ground for my new project potentially coming very, very soon. So follow me on Twitter, Will Martin's MMA. And yeah, I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. Shout out to all the video makers on here that keep doing their thing, keep pumping out videos. Keep it up. We're all come together making this even better there. And just a shout out to all the subscribers as per usual. Take care. See you all very, very soon.